And I thank you for the invitation to talk about Mercy Focus on Haiti and our connection with Laudato Si. That first slide gives you a little clue of the wonderful people that we work with. Mercy Focus on Haiti, as you know, is a ministry of the Sisters of Mercy. And it was birthed out of the cry of the poor that was heard by the delegates of the 2011 chapter meeting. At that time, a statement was made and about our concern and need to respond to the poor. And you can do the next slide, if you will. The statement says, "We are led to liberate and redistribute our human and financial resources across the Institute and develop creative solutions to unmet needs, acting in solidarity with impoverished peoples." For the last 11 years, Mercy Focus on Haiti has been guided by that commitment. The statement and its subsequent actions are very connected to the spirit of Laudato Si, and in particular to the cry of the poor. Haiti, the country and the people on which we are focused, is a country filled with poverty and an abundance of ultra poverty. The United Nations describes ultra poverty as severe deprivation of basic human needs. Just think about it, severe deprivation, okay? And with regard to food, with regard to safe drinking water, sanitation facilities, healthcare, shelter, education, and information about life. So all of those things characterize the poverty of the ultra poor. And we know that poverty marginalizes, it suffocates, it kills. Poverty is also standing on the outside looking in. Today, I just want to share a little bit with you about a program that Mercy Focus on Haiti sponsors that I believe encompasses the values of Laudato Si, and definitely it is an example of a response to the cry of the ultra poor. The name of the program is Chemin la vie mieux for those of you who speak French, and for the rest of us, it's translated Pathway to a Better Life. This program is sponsored by the education department of the Fonds Bank in Haiti. And in 18 months, a woman and her family are out of ultra poverty. Remember that definition, severe deprivation. In 18 months, they're out of that poverty, ultra poverty. And believe it, it's true. When we were first informed about the program, we were quite enthralled by it. It sounded a lot like what Catherine McCauley would say and do. So in the next few slides, let me tell you about the program. Remember, they're the ultra poor. They are women. In this picture, you see the first cohort of 200 women that Mercy Focus on Haiti sponsored. And they're all dressed up in their finery for the day. And these are women who are ultra poor. And that's all who participate in the CLM program. These are women who have no access to healthcare. They're not able to feed their children every day. And one of the stories that we've experienced when we were in Haiti, a group were visiting one of the homes of the women, and the children were sitting around in a little circle with plates of rice on their to eat. And in that little circle, there was one child that had no plate. And one of the Focus on Haiti people asked, well, where's your plate? And the little boy said, it's not my turn to eat today. So, I mean, when you hear stories like that and see that reality, it's more than just not having a little bit of food every day, but the reality of not being able to eat even once a day. Often these women cannot send their kids to school, and they often have flimsy, rain-soaked homes that they're living in, and they have no means to take care of themselves. In the next slide, the gentleman that you see there is a caseworker for the woman on the left-hand side that you see. And again, it's a group visiting the CLM program, the Pathways program. During the 18 months of the program, the participants have been participating in large and small group learning sessions and meeting with their case manager once a week. Keep this idea of the case manager in mind, because the case manager supports each participant as she learns to run a small business, such as breeding goats. I think that's the next slide. Okay, a small enterprise of goats, where breeding goats. See the strong, healthy goat with their offspring, and they can be sold at market, generating a income for the women. And there's always a market for goat meat in Haiti, and so it's a popular process for learning about to run a small business and generate some income for yourself. This slide talks about healthcare for the family, and the women have never been to a doctor. Their children have never been to a doctor as well. And now some of you may know Marge Friedoff. She's the nurse there tending to the women. And Mercy Focus on Haiti provides medical assessment clinics for each of the cohorts. And then we also support and to provide the presence of a nurse to provide follow-up medical attention. Then on the other side of the picture, you see the happy group of women, very proud of themselves, for they have just received the water filters and instructions on how to use them to purify water for cooking and drinking. The last slide here shows on the left-hand side, you see one of the homes of the participants. And in the program, each woman receives materials to repair or build a home. And you can see the lean-to effect and the roof of banana leaves. And you can imagine that in torrential rain, that doesn't stand a chance of surviving. But as I said, each woman receives materials to build or repair her home. And you see the house in the making on the right-hand side of that. So you can see that there's a lot going on in this 18 months. And each participant in the program develops life skills and also develops confidence that she knows that she can do something because she has experienced it. And the other interesting thing about this program is there's like a 97% graduation rate because it's quite successful, and women continue to work on the program. So just for a minute, recall, if you can, what you did for graduation from high school or from college. What were the requirements that you had to do that? You know, the courses you had to take and the activities you had to do, the papers you had to write, whatever. But listen to the requirements for graduation up from this 18-month program. They must feed their kids once a day, at least every day, that there would be no untreated malnutrition in their households. They live in a house with a good tin roof, have a water filter, have their own latrine, send all or most of their kids to school, which is, you know, a good way to get out of poverty, have at least 2 sources of income, and at graduation time, at least have $185 US worth of productive assets or savings, have a plan for the future, and have confidence to know that they can succeed. The cry of the poor is lessened, and dare I say, even disappears with this Pathway to a Better Life program. And for me, it seems like there are, let's see, can you switch to the next slide? And I'll just show you what these are for the graduates. And in that envelope is their certificate of graduation. And the scarves that are around their necks have been given to them by Mercy Focus on Haiti. So each woman, and you can see they tie it, each one of them ties it differently, but they have great pride in having graduated. But and 2 major factors, I think, make this program successful. One is the accompaniment by the case manager, someone who is walking together, providing encouragement, assisting as needed, challenging now and then, and supporting people, the women during the tough times. So for 18 months, each individual has the full attention of another person who wants her to succeed, wants her to develop skills for now and into the future, wants her to know who it would be she can rely on when she runs into obstacles, wants her to know herself as capable of doing many things. And she knows she can do things because all during that 18 months, she's done things that she's never done before. So it seems to me that the case manager is just critical to the success of this program. And what we're talking about, it seems to me, in our response to the poor is creating a relationship with them, in a personal relationship, in moving them forward. And the second thing that, you can switch to the next slide, please. The first was a click accompaniment. And the second is access to capital. And many of you know Amada Miller. And when I was working with her at Network, she always would say, what the poor need is access to capital. They need resources to make their dreams come true. And so part of this program teaches the women how to have a savings account with Foncoze Bank. And for the first 6 months, they're given a small stipend and they have to put half of it into savings, and half of it then they can use to buy food for the family and so on and so forth. But and then after they finish the program, the Pathway to a Better Life program, they can join into solidarity groups, which are groups of 5 women pooling their money and then sharing it with one another and using that money as they're needed. But then what they have then is they have access to capital and some experience in changing their lives and saving money and providing for their families. So accompaniment and access to capital are important in responding to the cries of the poor. Early on in the encyclical, Pope Francis makes an urgent appeal to dialogue among all people, to care for us, to care for people and the planet. He calls us to dialogue and keep talking about that. But it's not just talk, it's conversations that lead to transformation. And all of us are called to do that, to allow ourselves to be in conversation so that we may change and be converted into to new lifestyles, to new attitudes and values, and regarding the poor and the planet. New attitudes, new values, in new consciousness in our hearts and in our minds with regard to people and the planet. So I was thinking about this and about our experience of journeying as a religious community, the journey of oneness, we call it. And that maybe as we, in mercy, participate in the Laudato Si action plan, perhaps we can consider it another journey of oneness. And this time, a oneness with all people and with the planet. So thank you for the time and attention to hearing about the pathways to a better life.